Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Motorsport at the GSRC. Tonight, we're heading over to one of the most iconic circuits in the world, Suzuka circuit in the heart of Japan. It's an incredible venue, famed, of course, for its Degner curves, for its S's, and for the frightening 130R. And if you haven't seen Luke Browning's crash from the around 130R from the Super Formula, let's just go have a look, because that was a scary incident. I'm very glad that he was able to walk away safe from there. Hopefully we won't have any repeats tonight in the Disruptive Labs GTE Championship. An hour of racing around this venue coming your way in a few minutes' time. But before we bring you that, let's remind ourselves of the championship standings. Brandon Grosh leads from Stephen Bull by 19 points, but important to note, Stephen Bull will get pretty much maximum points from the drop rounds because he had 2 poor rounds and has basically won everything else. So I suspect that Stephen Bull is winning the championship once we get to the drop rounds being implemented in week 7. Ben Woods, a close contender on 270 points, sort of in a bit of his own land, needs a strong couple of results to pull back into it, or some favorable changes from those drop rounds, but he is not in the server tonight, so he will be dropping down the order come tonight, and that leaves an opportunity for Paul Wood and Lavis to try and leapfrog him into 3rd place. And now we're going to come on over and do our spin of the wheel for our Saturday night series, the MtnMen. Joe, take it away.
Yeah, good evening, Liam. Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, last weekend's MtnMen was a bit of a no-show. I think the Bathurst 12-hour and whatnot sort of had something to... Oh, look at this. GT1 Civil War. So they're a lot of fun around there, the Corvette and the Aston Martin. So the Aston Martin's always been a bit of a fan favourite around the mountain, so I wouldn't mind betting if people are actually available tomorrow night. They're probably going to be the car of choice. The Aston Martin usually fares a little bit better, but yeah, we'll be looking at them ones tomorrow night. But that leads us back to what we're doing this evening, mate. And yeah, looking forward to this one. It's going to be a great night of racing around Suzuka. Awesome track.
Yeah, it should be a great car and track combination. These are your conditions for tonight. As you can see, there's a bit of fog in the air, high humidity. Won't be any rain because these cars do not have wet tyres, and very consistent track and air temperature, 24 and 23 respectively. So absolutely perfect conditions to pull out some really fast times in these vehicles. And now we're going to see who has brought you the fastest time so far when we look at the results from qualifying, and hence the grid for our race tonight. Stephen Bull takes pole position. If he had money, it's probably he would bet on, but he didn't have it all his own way because Brandon Grosh was within 1/10 of a second in 2nd place, and Glasspool only a further 8/10 behind in 3rd. Then Haycock is in 4th, with Michael and Lavis on the 3rd row. Edwards and Hayne lining up behind them, with Smitke and Wood making up the top 10. In 11th place is Penizola. Good to see a new name in the GTE Championship, as far as I can tell. Adams alongside him, then Fitzgerald in 13th, Nixon in 14th, watch for him to come forward, Heaney in 15th, Bradbury in 16th, then Rollo and Culbreath at the back of the field in 17th and 18th. And it looks like pretty much every single car has gridded. In fact, they have, so it will be the full 18-car grid for the race tonight. There they are, all lined up perfectly still behind the safety car, and it will not be a long warm-up lap. The rolling start starting from quite far around the circuit, so we will get racing underway pretty darn soon. Certainly,
this venue is one of the favourites among the drivers and no doubt the spectators as well. It's always puts on great race, and like you say, 130R is just, it's probably, yeah, it's to Japan what Caltech's chase is to Australia, right? The chase down at Bathurst. It's just high speed, high stakes. You know, only the brave prosper through there. So it's one of the great corners in motorsport is 130R, which they're just coming down to now, and then they'll have the final chicane and we'll be underway. But there's a lot of great sections around the circuit, obviously not just 130R, but Spoon is probably another great set of corners that leads up to this corner actually. So yeah, it's certainly a great track that I think is going to suit these cars tonight.
Yeah, it doesn't always promote the most overtaking, but certainly in a 1 hour race like this with these tricky beasts, I expect it to draw out quite a few mistakes, so we will see positional changes at the very least, and you can overtake certainly into this final chicane as long as you get a good run through 130R, which Stephen Bull helped do on the first lap as he leads the field away. There they are, approaching the start finish straight, and he puts the hammer down, and we are racing here at Suzuka. Haycock already passed Glasspool on the run down to the start finish straight. Might even have been before the control line, which would be interesting. What if he would get a penalty for that? But they are tussling side by side into the iconic opening series of corners. If you've never seen the F1 cars through, they in real life, they are so fast.
No!
Is Glasspool into the wall, had a tap with, I believe, Haycock on the exit of turn 2, and that has sent him into the wall prior to the entry to the iconic S's, and he's going to have his work to do to get back into this lead fight, and that leaves his teammate Brendan Grosh to carry the flag of attacking Stephen Bull, with Haycock, the lead Chevrolet, in 3rd and Nathan Michael promoted up to 4th.
I'm not sure who James actually had contact with him, but he would have to be the most unlucky driver in the GTE, bar none. He's had awesome pace all season. I think he had a win actually in round 1. And since then, he's either been in an incident, run off, had contact. You know, nothing's been egregious, but he just can't seem to get through lap 1 lately, which is... Oh, I feel so sorry for him. He was very frustrated last week, actually, which he come into the chat and let us know. But, you know, he had some substantial damage in the opening lap incident last week. And, yeah, and here he is just brought up again. Actually, what we... 130, we might have a quick look at that one. So what happened to James here? He's on the left-hand side there. Is that Ben Woods who he just had contact with?
No, that would be Liam Haycock in the Chevrolet. The McLaren coloured Chevrolet is Haycock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to tell from that angle who moved into who.
Yes.
But certainly a differing of opinion on where each car should be on the run down to the S's as Stephen Bull gets through the first lap in the lead, and when he's done that previously, he's led every single lap and of course won the race. So hopefully that doesn't happen tonight for our sakes and we get a bit of a battle. We'll have to wait and see. Bit further down the pack, Paul Wood, a good gain off the line. He's up in 7th place from 10th, and Connor Nixon up from 14th into 10th, so both of them making lightning starts. Good news for Glasspool is he does, of course, have 58 minutes still to make up the 12.6 seconds he's behind, and it looks like he's gone for another excursion, perhaps contact with Greg Heaney there. We'll have to wait and see what the full story is, and here we go. Yeah, aggressive down the inside, quite a late move, and it looks like Heaney just didn't know he was going to be there. He's coming back in to open up the next corner. You'd have to get closer, get the onboards to figure out what level up there was. Who was entitled to space. You can see he's right there on the inside. Yeah, he's not far enough alongside, is he? Just a bit too aggressive, trying to make up for it. You can absolutely understand why he feels he needs to make spaces immediately, but he sent Heaney for a spin, and I think the stewards will look fairly dimly on that one. There wasn't really the space there to make that maneuver. As we cut to Adam Lavis, he's up 1 spot from where he started, courtesy of that spin for James Glasspool. And he's trying to put the pressure on to Nathan Michael, who is fallen behind Liam Haycock in 3rd. to the tune of 1.5 seconds. Stephen Bull pulling away out in front as well. 1.8 seconds to lead. His pace is absolutely phenomenal. He was 8 tenths faster than Grosh on the previous lap, and interestingly, Haycock was faster than Grosh. So Grosh might be a little bit of a cork in the bottle for Haycock here in the early stages. Only 2 tenths behind them as we watch this battle for 9th with Colin Nixon, which is a position he's just lifted himself into at the expense of Matt Smitke. And I believe Nixon, the only orbit drop driver in the server tonight. I've got a couple of DPR boys. We've got Aussie racers are quite heavily represented, as pretty much always in the GSRC. So a healthy range of clubs represented in this GTE race. Not quite hitting the lofty marks of attendance in the early races where we were pushing 30-40 cars, but 18 still solid for a Friday night, which is generally one of our less attended nights because it's a Friday and a lot of people want to go out and enjoy their youth on a Friday night.
It's not COVID times anymore.
It is not COVID times.
They were certainly the strangest of days though when it was, but it looks like Brandon and Liam. Now, one of the guys I've got to mention him, young Liam Haycock. Now he's been around the club now for 2 years, I guess. He's only a young guy out of New Zealand actually, and he's a really nice young lad. Now when he came to the club, he was very green. He got caught in a lot of incidents on track, and we actually took him aside and had a bit of a chat and found out he was on a single screen. He used no overlays or anything, and he had his field of view set up really weird, like tunnel vision sort of thing. And we sat down, did a bit of coaching. I actually had a one-on-one coaching session with him. And after that, he got his field of view right, and I think he's also upgraded to triples now. And man, this kid, he's got some talent, and he's cleaned up his driving exponentially, like crazy. He's doing such a great job, and he's now up running with, you know, your Brandon Groshes, your Nathan Michaels, all the top guys that have been around, you know, for a long time, and not only in these cars, but in just about everything he jumps in. He's right up the front, pointing in top 10 in, you know, bigger fields and whatnot. So, yeah, a bit of a shout out to Liam, and he also does a bit of race control for the club as well on the back end, which is, you know, we always appreciate when the guys step out of the, you know, the driving seat, so to speak, to help out the club in that aspect. But yeah, bit of a shout out to Liam. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, certainly appreciate everybody that drives clean and helps out at the club. That's a pretty powerful double in this club. Now, if I can ask you to cut back to the battle for 7th place, because that is really hotting up. You can see Connor Nixon there trying to pressure David Hayne for 8th. Hayne's not far behind Paul Wood in 7th, who in turn is not far behind Austin Edwards in 6th. So we've got pretty much a 6-car battle pack here. There is a bit of a gap back from Connor Nixon, as you can see, to Jeff Adams in 4th place. So the top 10, 9 of the top 10, really pulling away from the rest of the field. And you're going to have a separate battle for that final spot. But let's stick with this for a bit, because this is where all the action is going to be for the next 3 laps. And indeed, you can already see action on screen, because Colin Nixon has just made his way past David Hayne for 8th place. And next on his to-do list is Paul Wood, but hopefully for Wood's sake he'll be past Austin Edwards and have a car between him and Nixon in defense before too long. So watching from the rear view of Wood, can we, there we go, now we can see what's going on here and just how much Wood is all over the back of Edwards in the Porsche. Good to see the Beamer getting a bit of loving from Wood, the only Beamer in the field tonight. All that was untidy from Wood, and that slipped him back off the tailpipe of Edwards and into the clutches of Nixon, who looks very settled in his Ford at this point of the race. Just seems to be holding the apexes a bit better than the cars around him.
Well, might we move on down here?
Yeah, brilliant speed on the exit of Degner 2. Can he get a move into the hairpin? No. It's actually, not a great overtaking place, believe it or not. Despite it being a hairpin, it's a bit too narrow to really open up the multiple lines, and with the way the banking is, it can be really hard to get the power down if you do come down lower on the banking. So the car that stays high, yeah, you can get alongside it, but they often get you on the exit. You're better off trying to get through Spoon at a decent click, which he's doing. Is basically pushing him through the second part of Spoon. And now the long run down to 130R.
Jeepers, you'd want to wear 2 pairs of earplugs driving forward, wouldn't you?
Part of you would want to, the other part of you would want to just let it all seep into every pore of your body. I just can't not quite brave enough on the brakes, to be fair. Well defended from Pullwood, didn't get defending fresh air, broke sufficiently late just to put Colin Nixon off, but he's got not as good an exit through the chicane. I believe that'll be a job done for Colin Nixon down into the opening section. And I say that deliberately because these two corners really do blend largely into one double apex. And there you go, the move is done.
But now the next one on Connor's radar is our very own Adam Maverick. Actually did a couple of broadcasts from last night today with the one and only Zach Caban. Was broadcast earlier today, and here he is now on track, trying to do his best and hang on to, or we'll get up into the top 5 anyways. He's putting a blowtorch to Austin Edwards, but the very, very rapid Connor Nixon is all over the back of him and up 7 positions at this point too, by the way.
Just how beautiful is that forward? And now Austin Edwards made a mistake, and they're going to go 3 wide. Oh, that's never going to work. Connor Nixon off on the gravel. Austin Edwards on the grass as well. Couldn't get a stop. Plows into Adam Lavis. Connor Nixon actually came out of it okay. Managed to get the car stopped on the tarmac, and because Lavis suffered that contact with Edwards, he actually ended up gaining the 2 positions. I don't think anybody... Yeah.
Just 3 wide there. It's... I don't know who you want to blame, really.
It's... I always tend to think in a 3 wide situation, you blame the last car on, but they can't both overtake at the same time. I can imagine Connor Nixon doesn't know that Lavis is on the other side, so I think they might all get away with that with just it being a racing incident.
Very awkward.
But really unfortunate. Strong opening stints from Lavis and from Edwards sort of brought to an end with an unfortunate bit of racing. You know, if Edwards doesn't make that mistake, that 3-1 situation never happens, and yeah, it's hard to know what to do when you're in a rare situation like that. You know, you don't see it very often, so they wouldn't have had many data banks about what to do in that situation. You probably don't quite have the instincts, and yeah, just didn't get the rub of the green on that one. But coming out the wash means we've got Connor Nixon in the Ford in 5th place, Austin Edwards and Lavis both on pit lane getting their vehicles repaired, as we have a look at what's happened to Smitke here.
Oh, this was
yep.
That was an awkward one between him and George.
Yep.
Penizzolo?
Yep, bit of a slap on the backside there from Pianazzola. But good to see Pianazzola not try to benefit from it. Definitely making sure that he didn't overtake Smitke through that. Of course, they both went off originally, but you could see he stopped. He wasn't desperately trying to get back. He was quite happy to sit behind Smitke as they rejoined, which is good to see, but unfortunate for Smitke. He didn't do anything wrong. But sometimes drivers are going to make mistakes, and those kind of incidents going to happen. Not to Stephen Bull, though, because he's got nowhere near him. If you want to be safe, best thing to do is stay at the front of the field and make sure no other cars are in any sort of personal space. And then you can just drive it like a practice session. And Stephen Bull's doing exactly that. He's done it multiple times this season. His race pace is absolutely astounding. And you just feel like, unless someone can figure out how to beat him off the line or beat him in qualifying and make sure the lead into the first corner, it's going to be hard to beat him this season, isn't it?
Very boring way to win a championship if he ends up winning it. And, I mean, he missed, you know, he's had a missed round and and a DNF, but if he goes 8 rounds with a gold next to his name by the end of the season, it's going to be not a lot of racing for him, but a lot of driving. Brandon Grosh and Liam Haycock, they're actually putting on a pretty good race here at the moment. It's only half a second between them, but this is lit up back here. So Paul Wood managed to hang on to the back of Connor Nixon, only half a second behind. Dave Hayne is hanging with him. So bit of a 3-car battle there, and then Jeff and Derek Fitzgerald in a bit of a battle, and Jordan and Matt Schmicke is about your last battle on track at the minute, as David Hayne looks like he's had a bit of an incident. What's happened to Haney? No, it moved. Right, this is one I want. Dave Hayne is, he's out. Touch the curb. He's got the bounce. We've all been there.
Yeah, none more so than Logan Sargent.
Yes.
Pretty much ended his F1 career there.
Yes, it certainly did.
It just shows you how easy it is to make that mistake, though, because David Hayne's a decent racer, and it's so easy just to you're blind. If none of you, if you haven't raced the track, you're blind on the entrance to that uphill left-hander. You cannot see how wide the exit is, so you're just relying on your sort of your muscle memory, that 3D vision of the world you have in your head, where you can predict what it looks like for what's not actually there yet in your sight. And sometimes you just get it a bit wrong, and if you get it wrong, you don't realize it, you don't make the correct adjustments, it's so easy for that to send you into a spin. You really have to very deliberately straighten the wheel, gently come off the throttle. You have to adapt, and if you don't, then you pay the punishment. It's very much a disciplined corner, but because you get so much speed, so much time, if you carry speed through there, you don't want to leave anything on the table. You can't afford to leave a margin, and that is really the story of this entire track. There's nowhere you can take it easy, because every corner either links immediately into another corner, and you have to set yourself up right for that corner.
Yes.
Or you've got a fairly decent straight afterwards, and there's a heap of time to lose, because the difference in speed to actually get through there safely is massive. There are not many corners where you can just, lose 1 or 2k and get through it safely. No, if you want to get through it safely, you need to lose a good few kilometers an hour and really lose speed for the corners. And that's why you often see quite a large spread of lap times around this circuit, as we are seeing over a second between the fastest and the slowest here. And that will extend throughout the stint as the tyre life plays its part. And you can see the amount of detritus being pulled onto the circuit. Ever since we've had that update, it really has made a difference to the racing, because you just cannot sit right on the limit anymore, because you can hit gravel unexpectedly at any point, and there is a lot of gravel at key points in the circuit carried over from the warm-up. And yeah, it's just another obstacle that these drivers are having to navigate to get around here safely. You saw the dirt right where your braking point is for the entry to Spoon. Stay on board with...
It's even, flicking up and getting on windscreens and stuff a lot more now than what it used to. And yeah, the game's come leaps and bounds, actually, probably in the last 2 to 3 years. It's great to see where it's heading, actually, especially when they get the new engine online.
Yeah, they seem to...
soon.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. They just seemed to hit a point where it was almost as if they became super comfortable in their skin and in their membership base, and in just reinvested so much into the platform. I'm not sure if there was a change in management or whether it was that they just hit an internal number that they were trying to hit before they really went ham, and they've done so, and it's been great. And they take their time, they do things right, they don't try and rush out new features. They make sure they're right before they do, and that is absolutely the way to run a game like this, because you can only ruin it at this point.
Absolutely. And actually the dev blog came out 24 hours ago now, probably 20 hours ago. I got an email overnight, and one of my favourite tracks on the service actually is getting an update in this build, which is Barber Motorsports Park. Actually, it's a full rebuild, full update, and they're retiring the old track. So if you got any replays with the old track that you want to keep, put them into a YouTube watchable form, because they're going to be gone, from my understanding. Once they retire a track, you can't actually see anything on it. So Some other tracks are getting the 3D curb update, which is another exciting update that's come the last 12 months or so, last 12, 18 months, where they're updating the curbs. They're not just visual.
While you're talking, sorry to interrupt you, while you're talking, can we cut to the battle between Nathan Michael and Connor Nixon?
Because
they are side by side as we speak. Side by side as we speak. Sorry to cut you up, just wanted to catch this live if we could. So there's Nathan Michael trying to defend from the red beast of Nixon. Defending heavily into the entrance chicane, but Nixon trying to do what he did a few laps ago to pull wood, get a good exit. Hasn't managed to do it. Look how good the traction in the Porker was for Nathan Michael. Now he's going to have to rely on the slipstream. He's not going to be thrown off alongside to dare a move into the frighteningly quick turn one. It's downhill, but it levels out when you reach it. So you actually have, and there's a bit of positive camber, so you have more grip through there than you think. And you can go frightening speeds through that section.
A little bit then.
Yeah, it did. He is pushing. He wants this fourth place. I think he believes if he gets fourth place, he can try and chase down a podium position. And look at the difference as they go through the S's. Nathan Michael getting the second part wrong, and it allows Carl Nixon to get up alongside, but is not able to effect the overtake. And he's going to push him into Degner 1. Has to brake a little bit early to make sure he's going to back. And Nathan Michael hits the curb hard, hops over, manages not to go off track, which is pretty impressive, but loses his speed through Degner 2. And now Nixon going to pull up along the outside at the hairpin, which I think is where you want to go. If you can go all the way around the outside, you can often get better traction on the exit as long as you can stay there to earn your spot. But he's not able to do that. Nathan Michael pulls a car, just about a car ahead, and yeah, bit of a rub as they make the run down to Spoon.
A little bit of frustration for Connor there, I think, after the mistake that Michael made. Just grabbed a bit too much curb, got the hop, and by the time he got the car settled, Connor was all over him. And but yeah, he got it back on, covered the next corner, which obviously got frustrating for Connor. He wants to get on with the job to try and hunt down Liam, who's now 7 seconds up the road from Nathan Michael, 7.5 seconds. So,
there goes Wood. There goes Wood in the background. He's saved it from the wall, gets onto the gravel and straightened, but that's taken him out of this battle for place. Did so well to save that. Brilliant driving from Wood. Just look at this. Tries to carry.
A bit too much curb.
Yeah. Completely unsettled on the outside curb, perhaps just dipping those right tires a little bit too far over, sends them to the inside. Quick on the counter steer, gets it straight. Brilliant recovery from Wood, and now we're going to watch it again. Gets wide too early. Look at that, straight on the brake.
I know exactly what the only thing you would have heard in the cockpit then was a big girly scream, or that's at snap lip.
Absolutely, and you see all the gravel he just put onto the braking zone and the racing line through the S's. That's gonna run through the chicane. That is gonna upset a few people when they get there. Has it got Smithy already onto the gravel, unable to brake at the same point, and takes very sensibly to the escape road. Rejoins the circuit. No harm really done there other than a bit of time loss. And there we go, Michael and Nixon side by side yet again, and Nixon just cannot find a way past this whiskey business car, and I think it's proving a bit too much of a risky business trying to get past him. Oh, he's got a good run for the exit. Spoon, if he can maintain the momentum without touching Michael, he should be able to get the inside line down through 130R. Are they going to go side by side through 130R? Surely not. Surely not. Surely not. No, David Michael has to back out a little bit. And that allows Connor Nixon to finally get the position. He's been threatening to do that for a few laps. Michael, brilliant in defense, made a couple of mistakes, but was somehow able to hang on tooth and nail, bitterly fought. But Nixon finally makes it 10 positions gained, climbing from 14th to 10th. For now, he can get on with the business of trying to chase down Liam Haycock for a spot on the podium. 8.5 seconds in arrears with 36 minutes left to go, approaching the halfway stage. Let's see what he has got in the tank. Up ahead, Stephen Bull continues to lead. That lead has stabilized at about 3 seconds over Brandon Grosh, who's doing a fantastic job, and he's stabilized his advantage over Haycock to the tune of about a second, so he's not dropped Haycock at all, but he is not really in immediate pressure. I wonder if Haycock is saving him a fuel and will try and get him through pit strategy. I don't think we'll have too long to wait and see how that battle eventuates. But it's certainly all to play for in the fight for second, and they will be keeping a wary eye on the freaky forward of Colin Nixon behind as we watch Eduardo Rolo, another casualty of the gravel, and
thank you, Mr. Wood,
doing a good job getting back on.
Actually, speaking of Wood, Tishbone, I noticed we don't have Ben Wood tonight. I'm not sure where Ben is, or if anyone knew that he was going to be missing tonight. I'm not too sure, but he's had a pretty good run this season. He had 6th at round 3 at Adelaide, but DNF last week and a DNS this week's going to, that's probably going to hurt him in his overall points as we're getting into the latter stages of the series. So I'm not sure. Being a long weekend here in WA at the moment, which we discussed prior to coming on air, is maybe he's away for the long weekend. I'm not too sure, but no Ben Woods tonight. And
I'm really intrigued to see how that championship battle develops, because the three protagonists of Bull, Grosh, and Wood, they've had quite different seasons in terms of how they've gained their points. So I think we're not really going to get a great read on it until the drop rounds, and even then, knowing that Stephen Bull's probably leading but is the most vulnerable to needing to having another poor result and it hurting his points total, it's going to be really interesting how they tackle that run in through the final few weeks. I just want to go back, actually, while it's a little bit of a quiet period, although can we cut to the battle between Grosh and Haycock, because that gap is down to 0.2 of a second, so that is really, really close. While we watch these two size each other up for a while, I just want to go back to what you were saying about the big patch that is coming, because there was some news that is very crucial to this series.
Yes.
The GTEs are getting quite a bit of attention, and they are getting wet tires.
Absolutely they are.
And that is coming in before the end of the season. All I'm saying is, it's going to rain. It's going to rain at some point this season. There's no way they're going to leave all of those servers dry when wet tyres have just been added to the GTE. So that could certainly spice up at least one of the final few rounds.
And look, I think that an endurance race in these cars, like you're looking the last couple of rounds that we've got, as I can see up here. Geez, has it ever rained at Le Mans for an endurance race? That's round 10.
Surely not.
Never. You got Phillip Island. I mean, we all know it's never rained at Phillip Island ever. And Monza's round 8 in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure how it'll line up, but I mean, you look at that Phillip Island and Le Mans, might have been maybe the odd sprinkle there. You never know, but something that hopefully I will have internet at the time to broadcast. There's if I am unable, basically the nuts and bolts of it is the NBN service at the new house that's nearly built, ready to move in, probably at the end of March for me, is probably not going to have an NBN because people don't give you the information you need. So if I can't broadcast, hopefully we can get one of the other broadcasters to pick up the last couple of rounds if I'm not available. But I don't think hotspot from my phone is going to cover it for a broadcast somehow, but we will do our best.
Yeah, hotspot can do a lot of things, but I think a full GSRC broadcast might be beyond the capabilities
of
a hotspot.
Even on
what
5G.
might not be Yeah, what might not be beyond capabilities is Haycock's ability to overtake Brandon Grosh. Yes, that was a tortured segue, but we're going to go with it. And he's following him through 130R. And you can just see he's not able to quite stay close enough to launch a move into the chicane. All that dirt seems to have cleared at this point. So it's a bit less treacherous through there now. Got a good run though, hasn't he? Onto the start finish straight. He's going to be able to pull alongside before they get to the first corner. Going to be contesting the braking zone. And we've seen once the car's got to the inside here. Generally, they have made the move stick. Is this Haycock getting into second place? It certainly is. Brilliant from Haycock. Set up that maneuver. A couple of turns back. And behind them, Nixon, Michael, and Fitzgerald have all dived into pit lane. So we're getting the first of our scheduled stops. And of course, we saw Connor Nixon was on the path to try and chase down these cars to lift himself into that battle for second. So this is quite a crucial pit stop for him and his prospects for the second part of the race. If he loses 2 or 3 seconds in the pit stop cycle, you suspect it's really going to drop him out of it. However, if he's able to gain 2 or 3 seconds, it could be enough just to lift him into being more of a threat. Left them into that zone where we can begin to apply pressure from afar if they see that that gap ticking down lap after lap. So we'll wait and see how that one develops as Haynes, Smitke and Bradbury also make their way into pit lane. Right, so about half the field decided to on this lap right in the 30 minutes. And I think before in the last 1 hour race, they were saying that really there wasn't much to play with in the fuel. You had to pit pretty much exactly after 30 minutes to be able to get to the end of the race, and that's how long your tank would get you through. So I wonder if we'll see the same tonight, and we'll see most of the cars pitting on this lap as Haycock goes off track there at the exit of Spoon. Doesn't lose too much time, but does record an off track to his name. And of course, we saw last week that accumulating off tracks can hurt you at the end of the race if you are in a bit of a tussle and pick up a 4X. We saw that black flag to one of the front runners last time out. Fingers crossed we don't see the same again this week, but the drivers do need to be careful. Those incident points, they can increase very dramatically very quickly if you're not careful. As Bull, Haycock and Grosh, our podium drivers, all head into pit lane.
Steve Bull, very clean race, no off tracks, no incident points. 2 for Haycock at the moment and 1 for Groshy. So, and Paul Woods picked up 3. We seen one of those with that incident where he was sideways and kicking up the gravel earlier on. So Jeff Adams, Panazola and Paul Wood are also pitting on this lap. Greg Heaney's making his way in. So they're just about going to cleanse the field, actually. I think the 50% mark must be about spot on for everybody with the fuel numbers. So
yeah, it is. And you do feel sorry for those drivers that got into an early incident like Lavis and...
This is where it'll ruin it for him, yeah.
And Edward, because they've got... When it's that tight on the fuel and you can't do anything with your strategy to try and recover and, you know, do Uber fuel saving or something to try and reduce the amount... Making an extra pit stop, your race is almost over unless you've got incredible pace. And they've both got respectable pace, but it is not incredible pace.
Tell you what, speaking about good pace, look at Connor Nixon, 1.3 seconds behind Brandon Grosh now, and closing him in at a high rate of knots. He's 1.2 behind now, so yeah, he's going to set a foot on the podium at the rate of knots he's going at the moment towards the front of the field. And up 10 positions just quietly. So great night of action for Connor Nixon at the moment. And I mean, you certainly can't point the finger at him for that incident between himself and Paul Wood and Panazola. Yeah, I think it might have been David Hayne when they had that incident down at the hairpin. I don't think you could wholly or solely...
It was him, Edwards, and Lavis.
That's right, it was too. Yeah, it was Adam. Yeah, because he unfortunately got the raw end of it. So, yeah, like I say, you can't really blame anyone for that. So, and he's done a great job of overtaking generally and keeping it clean. So, yeah, hats off to Connor for a great drive so far. He's got excellent pace. His best lap is a 56.49. Still doesn't put a finger on Stephen Bull, who's got a 56 flat. That guy is knocking on the door of a 55, and he's half a second clear of the next fastest guy. Just outstanding pace. And the next guy, actually, who's the closest, James Glasspool, exited the server. He looked like he had an off track a little bit earlier on, and he must have altered forward to the bar, I think.
Yeah, completely understandable, particularly on a Friday night. If it's not going your way, why continue? Like we said, there wasn't enough flexibility with the way the fuel's set up, the way the deck's set up, to really enable you to come back from an early incident like that. And he doubled down, and he had made that aggressive move down the inside. Wasn't enough room there on Greg Heaney, and fired the second arrow and turned a bad night into the worst night, and decided enough's enough. But he'll come back, I'm sure, next week and put in a better performance and be fighting at the top where he should be with the incredible pace that he has got. And we're going to stay on with this fight between Con Nixon and Brendan Grosh until it is resolved, because this is the tightest battle on track. Other fights are Adams and Fitzgerald. There's a second between them, and Smith-Heaney. There's a second between them. Heaney recovering from that incident I was describing with Glasspool and doing a decent job. He's in 12th place. So I think he'll be pretty happy with that, given what happened, and probably a bit miffed about it and thinking what could have been had he not been in that fight, because if he hadn't, I think he would have been fighting for the lower reaches of the top 10 with Lavis and Bradbury.
I'm not sure what's happened to Brandon here, but he's dropped 5.5 seconds to Liam. Liam got by him, but as looks like Connor's going to do right now, up the inside at turn 1, and it's happened quite easy. So I thought maybe Brandon, he let Liam by earlier on. I was thinking maybe it was a fuel strategy thing, because he had great pace early on, but the last 5 minutes of his stint before the pit stop, his pace seemed to go away. So maybe he's actually hurt the tyres. Maybe this is where he's been that little bit too aggressive, and Liam's car and the Ford of Connors might have looked after the tyres a little better. So yeah, not sure. He'll be in after the race anyway. He'll let us know where his pace in the middle sector of the race has gone as Connor gets a bit sideways out of the corner there. Heading down
I wonder who took tyres during the pit stop phase. Because I remember they have been taking tyres. I remember last time somebody said they only took 2, and it upset the balance a lot. I wonder if
he was pitted for nearly 46 seconds. Everybody else is around the 41 to 43 second mark. So whether or not he took 2 in his pit stop, I'm not too sure. Or
if he might also just lost a bunch of time on pit entry or exit.
Yeah. So that's where he's dumped his time. No, well, he didn't take tyres because his stationary time was about the same as everybody else. So looks like he has lost it. Oh, he missed his pit box. There you go. Grant's let us know. So that's where he's lost the 4.5, bit over 4 seconds. Thank you, Grant, for the information.
The ability to pit fast is an underrated aspect of motorsport. It can make or break a race, particularly if you are one of the fast guys, because there's just so little margin for gain, because so little time is lost between them that you've got to really maximize everything you can. And interestingly, IndyCar actually understands this, and they actually publish like a ranking of each driver and how good they are on in and out laps, which theoretically they're basically measuring how good you are in the pit stop phase, because they understand how crucial that is to your race when everything is so tight. And it's something I'm surprised that we don't hear mentioned more in other motorsports, because we do often talk about the actual pit stop itself, but the actual pit stop is just one phase of a pit cycle. The actual entry and exit are just crucial. You do it once. You do it once in the race, right?
Yeah, but it's so crucial. Hey, look, it's very, very difficult to make up time in a pit stop, but it's very, very easy to lose time, as Brandon's seen tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly, good for Grosh. He's able to hang on to the back of Nixon for now. That gap hasn't really extended much. It's about half a second, and certainly you'd say Nixon looks comfortable ahead, but it's not like he's absolutely streaking clear at this point. So maybe Grosh was just a little bit upset in the car, maybe just lost his groove a little bit in the pit cycle. That can happen. And now just trying to get it back because, yeah, his pace wasn't quite there before, but he seems to be hanging on to Nixon relatively well. Of course, we're getting a little bit of help through the toe, but also I think around Suzuka, you'd probably prefer to have the clean air and not be losing, especially for a 130R.
Yeah.
So
as we just seen right there, he ran wide on exit. That would be an effect of the toe. So, and I mean, let's be honest. One of the things that can put you off in iRacing is having Connor Nixon in your rearview mirror because we all know how rapid the boy is, right?
Yeah, but also having Grosh in your rearview mirror can put you off because Grosh is launching an attack here on Nixon. He's down the outside. That's not where you want to be on the entry 2. I don't think he's going to get through, but certainly had a better run out of the chicane. So I don't think this one is done yet. I don't think it's settled that Con Nixon's just going to walk away. I think this might be a battle we were going to be watching for the next 20 minutes as they determine who is going to get that final spot on the podium. It does seem like Haycock has enough in hand to keep these two behind. On the last lap, he was about a tenth and a half faster than Colin Nixon, given the gap is around 6 seconds. You would need a significant pace advantage in Nixon's towards Nixon for him to be able to close that gap, and that is not what we're seeing on the current evidence. This is the battle for 11th between Greg Heaney and David Hayne, both in their Porsches. David Hayne was running higher up, was involved in an incident and is recovering, and Greg Heaney himself was involved in an incident. So recovery drives from both of these drivers, but you would expect that David Hayne should have the pace on Heaney, meaning no disrespect to Heaney.
These are about your only two battles on track at the moment. Is that one between Greg and Dave, and Connor and Brandon is your only other battle at the moment. One guy.
Yeah, I mean, look at.
Probably should have looked at this guy.
Oh, that's a mistake.
That was he was very deep. Caught. Gotcha, Steve. See, commentator curse.
And he lost a lot.
He did.
A lot of time.
58.25 on that lap, and Liam's just gone a 57.44. So Liam was almost a second quicker on that lap, which would be the evidence for that mistake we just seen as he come into the final chicane sector, made famous by a couple of McLarens there back in 1988.
It certainly was, and I do believe that mistake accounted for the entirety of that deficit on that lap. That's not somewhere you want to go deep. It's you just utterly bleed time through there, so not ideal. But this is why you continue to push on when you're ahead. This is why you build a 6-second lead, so you can have a mistake like that and not suddenly feel under pressure, not give Haycock the sniff of hope that he needs to really push. Indeed, he's already going about the job of trying to build that gap back out.
Adam has just had his pit stop to get his fuel to bring him home. Obviously, that's the byproduct of being involved in that incident early on and pitting early. He was never going to get the fuel in, so he's slotted in 13th position now, one behind his teammate Matt Schmidtke, just inside 7 seconds, and about just inside 4.5 back to Ed Rollo in 14th. Austin Edwards is currently running 15th, and Jordan Panazzola, he's actually dropped back. He had a bit of actually where he
and David Hayne has just got Greg Heaney as well. If we could cut and watch what happened there.
We'll actually have a look at exactly how he got that. Oh, Greg's got off track, so there's some mistake by Greg. Yes, got out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too too much speed through Degner 1, unsettled himself, wasn't where he wanted to be for Degner 2, unable to get the car slowed down, goes off, and David Heen gets the position. And that is the beauty of the Degners. The beauty of the Degners, the first part is so fast, and then you're immediately on the brakes for the second part. And if you make any sort of mistake through that first part, it's almost impossible to get through the second part cleanly unless you really just commit to the time loss and decide to lose that time on the racing line rather than going off track. And that time, David Hayne was the beneficiary of the mistake. And now you would expect David Hayne to be able to clear away from Greg Heaney, which he is doing so. Which means we probably cut the battle between Nixon and Grosh. As I expect that one might have a little more in it.
Run deep, miss the corner again.
You can see really trail braking hard through there, leaving the brakes on but leaving too much brake pressure. Tires don't have enough grip to also do the turning that he's asking for. And as the weight shifts onto the outside tire, comes off the inside tire, so it's got even less grip. You see that front right tire lock up. He goes off the track. Might need to brake just a little bit earlier and trail brake just a little bit less. Help to give those front tires a little bit more grip to use for rotation instead of slowing down at that face of the corner. Should tidy him up and it'll probably help him be a little bit quicker through there. You don't need to tack it too much because you want to stay nice and close to the apex so that you open up the second part. There's not much time to be gained on the entry to the corner there compared to the exit of the chicane, so you really want to compromise that corner. Make sure you're safe, even if you give up a 10th, right? And make sure you're safe through there. Make sure you're hugging that apex around so you really open up the second part. You can get that really good run onto the start finish straight. That's going to be the secret to getting time around there in any vehicle, not just a GTE. It's just a little bit harder in a GTE because they are a beast of a car. Interestingly, I'm not sure what's happened, but Paul Wood only 7 tenths behind Nathan Michael now. Not sure if there was a mistake from Michael on the last lap. Last time round looked fine. They're pretty early in the lap, so I suspect this might just be a genuine reflection of pace, with Wood about a quarter of a second faster than Michael at the moment, and he's got 14 minutes to try and lift himself up to a top 5, which Paul Wood would be very happy with if he was able to do that. Ignore that car behind Woodsy. That is Rollo. He is well back. He is in 14th place at the lap down, so he is not a factor in this battle. And it seems just in that battle for third, Colin Nixon is finally breaking the spirit of Brendan Grosh. That gap now out to a second, no longer under immediate pressure. And he was 4 tenths faster than the last lap. So I think Grosh might have made a mistake, and that is what has opened up that gap. But I'll leave Colin Nixon feeling a little bit better, because certainly Grosh was a bit too close for comfort over such a tricky circuit. Definitely seeing both Nixon and Grosh accumulating quite a few off tracks, according to the information I've got on SDK, which isn't one for one of iRacing, so take these numbers with a pinch of salt. But Haycock on 17 off tracks, Colin Nixon on 15, Grosh on 16, Nathan Michael, sorry, reading the wrong numbers. Haycock on 17, Nixon on 14, Grosh on 13, Smitke on 18, Austin Edwards on 22. They're the ones that, according to SDK, getting a lot of off tracks. That is slightly different to iRacing off tracks. Does not mean that is how many incident points they have, but probably means that they're pushing the incident point limits a bit closer than many of the other drivers on the circuit, and not a single driver, according to my numbers, has got 0 off tracks, which is just a statement to what an epic track Suzuka is.
If Liam's up to 17, he'll want to be very careful, or he'll have to transverse the pit lane before the end of this race, and that'll take him out of a very solid second place. Now, he was 3 tenths to the good, 3 tenths slower than Connor on the last lap. Now, if he can keep that sort of pace, even if he's 3 tenths slower, he'll finish in second, because we've only got 11 and a half minutes, so about 5 laps, so he can afford to be, 8 tenths slower per lap and still finish in second. But he won't want to be making any big errors, as we see Connor Nixon just lock up the inside front on the run down into the hairpin there, so that's actually going to cost him a bit of time. So the pressure's all on Liam at the moment. I mean, pressure, 4.6 seconds to the next car, but still, when you got, a bit over 11 minutes left in a race like this, with Connor Nixon being the next one in line, you want to get the reel on, right?
Yeah, you want to make sure you've got that gap to be really comfortable and such that when you make a mistake, you're not going to be under pressure. I think you want at least 5 seconds to be super comfortable. So Stephen Bull's got 4.2 on Haycock. Haycock's got 4.6 on Nixon. So Haycock, I would say, has got that on Nixon. I think he can afford to feel a bit comfortable, even though it is Nixon behind. I'd actually say Stephen Bull would be a little bit less comfortable. He has made a couple of mistakes. So 58.3 on the last lap, significantly slower than Haycock. So he's dropped down that gap to about 4 seconds now. It's not something you need to keep an active eye on right now, but it's just worth perhaps leaving notifications on and seeing just in case something can develop there. Now, we're not gonna leave the sight of Michael and Wood doing battle, because there's only a quarter of a second between them at this point. So this is by far the tastiest fight on track. Behind them, Fitzgerald is also trying to launch himself into 7th place at the expense of Jeff Adams, but this is the closest fight on track right now. And in fact, Wood looking for all money, like he's just had a better run through the S's. You can see the car, every corner he's opening up the next corner a bit more. It should get him a good run through here compared to Heaney ahead, but he doesn't have much of a straight to allow himself to get into position to attack into Degner 1. And no, not able to do so. Gonna have to follow him through, maybe try and get a better exit, see if he can do something at the hairpin. Although we said all along, it's actually not that great an overtaking opportunity. Despite being a hairpin, you're better off if you can just get a good run through here in following the car ahead up on the entry to Spoon, and then trying to make something happen through 130R and the chicane at the end of the lap, or turn 1 has been the opportune overtaking corner at this track so far. That is where the majority of overtakes have happened, if there has not been some sort of notable mistake from the car ahead.
Oh, they sound amazing. The Porsche sounds incredible. I love it. 130R, they've all stayed on track. Big braking zone. Michaels, Woods, and Jeffrey Adams pull it up nice and clean. Good run for Woods. He's right up on the back of Nathan Michael now as they're coming onto the main straight. Passing opportunity, as you said, down here at turn 1. Woods out of the draft. He's going to get it done.
Yeah, he'll get it done. As soon as you're along the inside on the entry to turn 1, it's so hard to stay around the outside of turn 1 and fight it through, because once you get to turn 2, the inside car has such an advantage. But if you can hold on, like we were watching Nathan Michael do here, and get to the entrance to the S's, it is any man's game. But no, Paul Wood able to get a good enough run through the entry to the S's that he gains the position over Jeff Adams, over Nathan Michael. Really nicely done.
That's actually a lap car with them.
Yes, it is. That is Edward Rollo.
That's right.
Judging by the paint scheme.
I was thinking it was Jeff Adams there for a second, so my bad.
Yeah, so if we just come back to the battle between Heaney and Heaney, Hayne and Heaney, not Heaney. Hayne and Heaney. Heaney's closed back up to Hayne. You know, so we thought Hayne was going to be able to get away, but Heaney is got his claws in him, is trying to drag him kicking and screaming back towards him. So the question there from Grant, Porsche's running out of tyres.
I tend to agree with him, because you look even like Stephen Bull in the Porsche out front, he's coming back to Liam Haycock. Haycock's been peeling him in lap after lap after lap. Not enough to put him on the top step of the podium with only 6.5 minutes to go, but he's definitely had better pace in the second half of the race. And, you know, pretty much these guys, so you've got Michael's just been passed by Wood, obviously in the BMW versus the Porsche. Grosh dropped back off of Nixon, who is in a Porsche against the Ford. Yeah, so
not much though. It's still only a second behind. He's not really. He's sort of just stuck with him.
benefit of draft though too, a little bit. You know, there would be an element of draft there, but it's, you know, he couldn't hang with him. So then again, in saying that, not many people could hang with Connor until he got to where he is now. But yeah, I think that the tyre thing with the Porsche might have a bit to do with it. It's yeah. So what we got 7/10 back to Nathan from Paul Wood at the moment. He what 3/4 of a lap. So. And he does seem to be struggling and moving around, Nathan. Look, hey, he might be a little bit harder on the tyres than some of the other guys as well. It's a hard one to pick, but definitely Liam Haycock has had better pace across the second half of the race.
Yeah, sort of when there's so many Porsches, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's a trait of the Porsche or not, because we just don't really have the data points to say that with confidence. Certainly the gap between Bull and Haycock has come down in the second stint, but we've also seen Bull make a couple of uncharacteristic mistakes into the chicane at the end of the lap, which is accounted for the majority of that time loss, right? Grosh has hung with Nixon. Michael's had a good fight with Wood. It's not like Wood breezed through. Not entirely sure what their pace was like in the first stint, so I can't compare whether that's changed. And then other than that, there's not really been much else notable from the Porsches to indicate a big loss. Doesn't mean they're not, but I think it's inconclusive evidence at this point. Seems like Greg Heaney hasn't quite got enough in the tank to launch a big move on Hayne, unless Hayne makes some sort of mistake and it invites it. And this is Adam Lavis trying to get past Matt Smitke for 12th spot. Both these guys are quite involved in the club.
Oh, absolutely.
So these guys will know each other quite well, the teammates, and this will be for a lot of pride.
Looks like Mav might have a bit of pace on him at the moment, actually. He's a wily old character to race against too. Very, very intelligent racer. As he keeps it on track. Goes for the move.
Trying to get the move done in the chicane, which we haven't seen very often in this race. Does get it done and make sure he's going to have the inside line down to turn 1. Smitke will be able to hang there around the outside, but can he make it through? He's able to get past, got past.
Yeah, power of the Chevy got by.
The Fjord are really struggling there. And yes, Smitke able to get back through, so this is going to be a tasty little fight to the end of the race. A few laps to go. Lavis versus Smitke. We'll keep an eye on any gaps out front, just in case they do change due to some sort of mistake. But right now, it's looking like Bull, Haycock, Nixon going to be the three on the podium in that order. And we will cut to Bull to watch him cross the line. But for now, we're going to watch this fight, because there's every indication that something could happen between these two before the end of this race. And Heaney's got past Hayne. We've missed Heaney getting past Hayne.
Catch it.
Are we able to see that?
We are.
Let's have a look.
Oh, Hayne grabbed a lot of curb on the exit there.
Yeah, mistake there. You can see he's got no pace on the exit, and he's going to get overtaken before they even get to 130R. He's evidently got it wrong for his spoon.
Hang on, here's why. This actually shows us what's happened. He's grabbed the curb on the inside at Spoon, has he, or the outside? No, he's run right at Spoon. No speed at all. Down the straight towards 130R. That's where the mistake was made.
And if we come back to Smitke, and there we are, side by side, as they approach 130R. Lavis and Smitke. Smitke on the outside, Lavis on the inside. Smitke able to cut across in front of Lavis. Will Lavis launch another move into the chicane? No, we saw that didn't work last time. I think he's going to try and get a better exit, but he goes a bit deep, as does Smitke. Hard to tell who's going to get the better run through here. Looks like it might just be Lavis, judging by the attitude of the cars as they come out. He's going to have the benefit of the slipstream as well. Smitke doggedly trying to defend that inside line. Lavis waiting for the pit entry to appear, where the track suddenly gets wider, but it doesn't give him enough time to really make use of that inside line. Able to get alongside? No, not quite. On the exit of T2, and they will go single file through the S's.
Right. Oh, Schminky gets a bit loose. Oh, he's running right on the ragged edge to keep his teammate behind him up through here. At the moment, it's great exchange by the teammates.
Yeah, not much you can do through Degner 1 and 2. You can't really gain a position, you can just lose one there by making a mistake. You're really wide there by Smitke on the exit. It doesn't seem to have hurt his momentum too much. Big dive on the brakes from Lavis into the hairpin. Really nicely done, able to get the power down cleanly. Smitke left behind, and that is job done by Lavis. Beautiful move.
Yeah, that was a take no prisoners pass. He's like,
that was beautiful.
I'm taking it, whether you want me to or not.
Yeah, that was absolutely gorgeous. And now let's cut to Stephen Bull as he is on what I believe will be...
Should be his last lap.
His last lap?
Should be.
So that's him through Degner 1 and 2. He has been sublime once again tonight. Took pole position, led from the first lap, has not looked back, built a comfortable cushion, has eaten into that cushion a little bit in the second stint, but that's why you build a cushion, so that you can afford to do that. And he has got Haycock at arm's length, as he has done for the entirety of this race, as he approaches the start-finish line. Can we cut to Stephen Bull?
We can.
There we go.
And 130R.
Yeah, it's been absolutely sublime yet again this week. He's going to be in the lead of the championship. We believe that lead will extend once drop rounds are in play. He knows he can't afford another pull round, or that will open up the championship significantly, but he doesn't have a pull round. He knocks it out of the park. He takes the victory in Suzuka. Liam Haycock runs home in a fantastic second place. Nixon, the biggest mover, up 11 spots into the podium positions. Probably the driver of the race, and a fantastic race it was for him. Brendan Grosh finishes in 4th place, fought really hard with Haycock and with Nixon, but not able to keep a position on the podium. Paul Wood takes a hard-earned 5th place with Michael behind him. Then it is Adams in 7th place, ahead of Derek Fitzgerald. And then we wait to see Brett Bradbury cross the line in 9th in his Martini liveried Chevrolet. And Greg Heaney was in a tight battle with David Hayne, but something has happened to David Hayne, because he is well back of Heaney now, so Heaney will take 10th. Lavis 11th gets that position over Smitke in the end. Then it is Rollo in 13th, Edwards in 14th, and it will be Hayne in 15th, I believe. I'm not sure what's happened to David Hayne. He is still recording us off track, so he's had one or more incidents on the final lap of this race.
He had fuel. Showing 300 RPM on the dash. He ran out of fuel. He didn't get home.
That is really painful for Hayne.
Oh. That shows on that. David. Yeah? But it should show us. Yeah, he's run out of fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. It can happen in these races. Fuel is very, very important, and if you don't have enough of it, well, you tend not to get very far. Heartbreak for David Hayne, but I guess he'll be thankful he wasn't higher up the leaderboard when that happened. But still loses out on a potential 10th place because he was in a tight battle with Greg Heaney right up until the end there. Just confirmation of your finishing order. No one bother reading them out. I read them out as they crossed the line. And we're going to cut straight to getting into our interviews. We have been joined by the top three, so we will talk to all of them. And we will start with race winner Stephen Bull. Race winner Stephen Bull is something I'm saying a lot this season. Just talk us through your race. Did you have any inkling where that extra pace comes from? Because you've been absolutely sublime once again.
Very much.
You're very
You're welcome.
quiet there.
All right, you got this. I keep managing to hit my my mute button. It's a tradition at this point. I was saying I think I might be running out of supply on this extra pace. The guys had definitely had a bit on me at the end there. I think a bit of a difference in the setup. I was definitely running low downforce than everyone, maybe not coming in so strong at the end there. And I think if this is an enduro round, there would definitely be a battle before the end.
Yeah, we did notice that gap between yourself and Haycock was fairly steadily coming down throughout the second stint, but we also noticed a couple of relatively large mistakes given the lofty standards you set previously in the season. A couple of moments going deep into the chicane. Was that just an evidence of how hard you were pushing to try and make sure that gap didn't come down any quicker?
Yeah, a bit of that and a bit of the setup. I had a bit of trouble getting the car stable on brakes on this one. Some of my setups, they're great on the brakes, some of them they're not, and I haven't quite figured it out in this car yet. And this one, especially turn one, had to be a bit tentative with it. But I think in a couple of weeks we're going to get a new tyre model and all that's going to change. So yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, and final question for you, which is a question I'm going to ask for everyone in turn. With the update, we're getting wet tyres. Do you want to see a wet race before the end of the season?
Yeah, definitely. As long as it's not monsoonal, I think it's always good just to mix it up a bit. You get some guys who, they might be, P5, P6 in most races, and then they'll just get out in front and lead it when it comes to rain. So it'd be good to see sort of who can step up to it when the rain does come.
Yeah, it's an extra challenge, an extra test of skill, and if you win in the dry and you win in the wet, then I think it adds a nice bow onto an increasingly likely championship challenge, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in the wet, but I'm definitely not the best out there. I think there's some people, who are rain specialists, so I think I'll do well. But I'm not, betting the house on coming in first when it does rain.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, hopefully we'll get to see how you go before the end of the season. Thank you very much for joining us for the box like always. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck for next week.
Thanks, guys.
We'll head on over now to Liam Haycock, who finished second. If I can cast your mind all the way back to the start of the race, I believe there was contact between yourself and Glasspool on the exit of turn 2. How did you read that, if you can remember back that far?
At the time, I was pretty sure I was all the way out on the track limit, and I've gone back to have a look now, and I don't think there was any more room I could have given. I'm fairly sure I was all the way over on the right there, so I don't think that's going to give too much of an issue at all.
Yeah, and fair enough indeed. And from then on, you drove a fantastic race for second. I think you had a bit of a fight with Grosh at one point. Did you start getting your hopes up in that second stint when you saw that gap to Stephen Bull coming down? At any point did you start to believe, or was it always just that little bit too far away?
I came out so I was trying to save fuel in the first stint behind Grosh, and then went to pass him on the in lap, which went okay. But then I believe both me and Grosh missed the pit stop, so we both went too far forward. So I thought from there it was done, because I didn't realize he'd done it as well. And then I came out with 7 seconds to Bull, and from there I know I have the fuel, I know I have the tyres, I'm just gonna go flat out from here to the end. but then I made quite a few mistakes and just had to tune it back a bit, sadly.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're pushing flat out, there's always going to be mistakes that crop in, right? It's really hard to drive at the absolute limit of your pace and not make mistakes.
Yeah,
We didn't
sure.
realize on the broadcast that you had also gone deep in your marks. We found out, thanks to a comment from Grant Gill, that Grosh had gone deep, but didn't realize you had too. That's interesting to know, because without that, yeah, it might have been really interesting at the end there.
Yeah, for sure. Even just, I don't know, 10 more minutes in the race, and it would have been an awesome three-way fight to the end there. But, well, it was great fun, and thank you for telling me last week to get into the podium. Didn't expect to get a P2 though, so that was awesome.
Oh, you are more than welcome. You did predict it last week, and so it has come to pass. So, when are you going to win? Shall we see if the trick works twice?
I don't know. Let's see when the rain comes in, maybe for the
When the rain comes in, and so fair to say that you're cheering for us to have rain before the end of the season.
Sure, I love rain. I'm not the quickest in it, but I've always loved it ever since it came in, and missed the total monsoon conditions.
There you go, Travis. I know you couldn't race tonight, but if you are watching, the demands are in. So far, 2 for 2 want rain before the end of the season. And best of luck, Liam. Hopefully that prediction does come true and you're able to get that win before the end of the season in the wet conditions.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
We'll head on over now to Connor Nixon. Probably the guy who had the most entertaining race out there. Up, was it 11 spots in the end?
Yeah.
Something crazy like that?
Yeah, something wild like that. Yeah, that was a bit of a... Yeah, I didn't expect that. I was like, oh, I'll just qualify and just put race fuel in, and I was nowhere, and I'm like, oh, well, this is not good. And then, yeah, just kind of worked my way up through the race, and, yeah, shocked that I was on the podium. Yeah, Grotch made a bit of a mistake in pit lane, and all I had to do was just get around him, and then after that, it was pretty much just hot lap after that. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, how good a defense did he put on though? Because he was fighting tooth and nail for that position.
It wasn't actually that bad. I feel like the Whiskey Boys actually gave me more of a run, to be honest. I don't know if I got put on broadcast, but yeah, the Whiskey Boys were definitely. I was sitting there going, "Oh my god."
I might now be misremembering, because we definitely covered a fair bit of your battle with the Whiskey Boys, so maybe that is the car I'm thinking of.
But no,
There's so many cars, it's hard to keep track.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, no, it was a good fight. I think he kind of let me go on the straight. I had a pretty low downforce setup, so it seemed like he kind of lifted, but yeah, it wasn't too bad at all, and that was good racing. But yeah, going 3 wide was probably on me, but I checked the replay. Technically in the rule book, I should be okay, but if we get a penalty, we get a penalty.
Yeah, we had a lock in. We had a look in the first couple of times I saw it. I was getting ready to say, oh, I tend to blame the last man on the scene, but then look, it's like it was so close between yourself and Lavis. I was like, oh, that'd be really harsh to sort of try and say that you were the one that made it 3 wide, and hence it was your fault, because like, yeah, you were just about last, but it was so close. Yeah, well, I think we're just looking at it, we're like, yeah, that'll be a racing incident. So I'd be surprised if anything comes of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really fussed. I mean, I've done a bit of a Dan Yeaman tonight. Just jumped in and had a bit of a drive. Yeah, normally I don't really do this, but yeah, it was nice. Preparing for Ivory this weekend, so it was kind of just a last minute thing. Jump in, and yeah, gents, is always good to jump in last minute. Yeah, there's no like pre-qualifying or anything, which is great. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean that is very deliberate. That is how we run the club, very deliberately, to make sure people can rock up and drive. You know, we've got the guys that rock up pretty much every night and drive. They're not doing heaps of practice in only one car. They're just going for it, and it's a good marker of skill when you can do that and then get a podium. So you should be pretty proud of your efforts tonight.
Oh, thank you. No, I really appreciate that. Yeah, no, it was a good time. I'm starting to get a bit of a hang of this Ford. Everyone in the Discord's like, why have you went the Ford? Well, I don't know, we'll just give it a run, bit of a bash, and yeah, it seems like...
It's pretty, it sounds good.
Oh, yeah, it sounds
What
like
do
a
you want?
vacuum cleaner. It's got the Ford badge on it. Yeah, no, look, it's one of my favorites, favorite cars in real life, and yeah, it seems like every time I rock up, its qualifying is terrible, and somehow the race it just comes alive. And the boys send me a setup that they can dig up from 8 years ago. It seems like so. No, it's good. It's really good.
That's going to change in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's going to change in a couple of weeks with
Yeah,
the new tyre panel and the addition of the wet tyres.
Oh, I haven't read anything. So what? A whole new tyre for every car?
A whole
Yeah, it's
new
getting quite a bit of love this year.
Yeah, it's the cars. The whole class is getting an update. None of your setups will work. Yeah, so suspension updates, tire updates, wet tires, and yeah, they're getting a huge update right across the class.
Yeah, cool. Is the supercar
here's
getting
the incident.
updated as well? Because I hope it does.
Sorry, what was that, Connor?
I
I
said
the
I hope.
supercar's getting an update as well.
Oh, is it? Oh,
No, sorry, no.
what?
I was saying you asked if the supercar was getting an
yeah,
update.
yeah.
No, I don't think.
Oh, I was going to say if that tyre updates, I might go back and driving those things. But if not, I'll stick to my GTs.
Yeah, no, the GTE class is getting the update. These ones.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Takes us to the question we've been asking everyone tonight. Rain before the end of the season, yes or no?
I've been doing a lot of racing and driving recently, so I wouldn't mind it. But this weekend there's a full rain race that goes for 4 hours, and then on Tuesday I'm doing another endurance race. So, look, I wouldn't like rain, but yeah, I'm happy to do whatever. Yeah, no, like if most of the club wants it, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, there you go. At the moment, we are 2 in a neutral. So, yeah, Travis, Rain, please. I'd vote for Rain as a broadcaster. I'm definitely voting for Rain. I think I can safely say that Joe will vote for Rain as well.
Absolutely.
So it's looking good for Rain at the moment. If you want to listen to us, thank you very much for joining us, Connor. Pleasure chatting to you as always, and best of luck for your racing up until next week.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. See you on maybe Monday. I don't know. We'll see. See you guys.
Great drive tonight, Connor.
Thanks,
Well done.
Ross.
Thank you, Matt.
We'll cut now to Greg, if you're there. He is
Evening.
indeed. Evening. Interesting race for yourself. Had that contact with Glasspool early on, and then recovery drive from that, culminating in a really good battle with David Hayne. Do you want to just talk us through your night?
Oh yeah, I mean the contact was, I mean it was there. I didn't get a call that there was a car there, and I had to look back over it, and I'm just going to leave it up to RC to decide what the outcome is of that. But apart from that, yeah, cracking battle to run out the night with Dave. Unfortunately for him, he ran about half a lap short on fuel. So coming out of Spoon, and he's just dropped off the back of me like a stone. I'm like, damn, he's actually run out of fuel, because I was hoping we were going to run that to the flag. So, but yeah, no, a good little battle with him. But I certainly used every last little bit of the front tyres I could within an hour.
Yeah, so you're really feeling that before the end of the race?
Oh yeah, I ended up having to wind the bias backwards about 4 clicks in these things to stop destroying the front tyres, and trying to save a little bit more of them. But yeah, it was already damage done, I think. I reckon any more time on them, and I probably wouldn't have much left at all.
Yeah. Yeah, we were speculating in the chat actually whether the porkers were suffering with tyre wear, and we were sort of said that with there being so many porkers in the field, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's just everybody suffering or whether it is a Porsche specific trait. So yeah, good to have confirmation that tyre wear was definitely a factor throughout this race, as you'd expect it to be in a 1 hour race. And now the question for you that we've asked everybody else is, do you want rain before the end of the season?
Oh, I've got the inside word.
Well then,
I'm VP, and I helped Trav set the servers up. So yeah, I bring your gumboots.
Yeah. I was going to say mum's the word, but if you're saying bring your gumboots, there's only one reason you bring gumboots to a racetrack, and it's not because they are fashionable. Anything else as VP that you'd like to share with the rest of the club about what's coming up for the second half of the season, or any thank yous or anything like that?
Oh, just thanks for you guys here again in the broadcast booth and putting on the show for us, and just thanks for everybody for showing up and putting a decent race together. I know it's probably not the best track for a smaller size grid. I think if we had maybe 30 cars, it probably would have been a little bit better for the show, but still there were some battles on track that would have been good. So yeah, thanks for everybody for showing up, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I think it was a decent broadcast in the end. There are a few good battles. So there's a bit of a quiet period, maybe 15 minutes in the middle of the race. But I think we generally had one or two type battles we were following for the majority of the race. So I think there was just enough action for it to work well on the broadcast and not actually miss too much. So I think it was okay. And we got the wheelie spin done at the start of the evening. So if you've come here looking for the wheelie spin, head back to the start and you will see it there. And now all that's left for us to do is to thank all of our sponsors and to get ourselves out of here. A little bit of housekeeping. I won't be in the booth next week. I will be in Melbourne, so unable to commentate. So we'll have to try and find somebody else to keep Joe company in the box next week. But we'll get something sorted. But a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Of course, our club sponsors, Disruptive Labs. They've been brilliant partners for us. Really glad to have them on board, and they are sponsoring this series. We've got Waste Options, who sponsor the GT3s on the Monday night. We have got Flash Graphics, who've been with the club for ages now, as long as I have been with the club. We've got Trophy AI, who are sponsoring our Gen 3 Supercars series and have been kind enough to give us some subscriptions to offer as prizes, and you saw a bunch of those going out earlier in the season. And merch at GSRC, in particular, the clothes are pretty decent quality. The hoodie is nice and thick if you want to prepare yourself for the coldness that is to come in the next few months. I'm not sure I can rock a singlet. I don't do it justice, but if you've got a better bod than me, just go for it and get one of the singlets. Wear it out and about now. The Supercars Championship is up. Pretty much every race, amateur, professional, up and down the country, you're probably going to find someone in the GSRC in the stands. This is what I got coming up at the club for the rest of the week. MtnMen, that is the Civil War cars, tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Then on Monday we head over to Portimao for a 30-minute race in the Wings and Slicks, and that is followed by the GT3s live from Nürburgring for a series of sprint races. Then on Tuesday night, they're not broadcast, but we have got the Radical SR8s at Alton Park going sprint racing, and the Lotus 79 completing a 40-minute race at Willow Springs. Then on Wednesday, we have the Aussie Legends at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. They're really fun to race. Really close pack racing up and down the field. Get involved in that one, and there is a broadcast for that, as there is for the V8 Supercars. And they will also be at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but they will be a single 40-minute race. Then on a Thursday, we'll head on over to Bathurst for the GT4 Challenge, and then Adelaide for the Porsche Cups. That is an all-Australian affair with two absolutely brilliant circuits, including Adelaide, one of the recent additions to iRacing. And then next week, I won't be here, but Joe will be here with someone as of yet unknown to take you through the 45-minute sprint race in the Disruptive Labs GTE Championship at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Beautiful. Well, that'd just about see us out, I think, wouldn't it, Liam?
It absolutely will see us out. So a big thank you to everybody who has watched the broadcast all the way to the end. We really do appreciate it. And we will see you again next week.